Annyeonghaseyo, welcome back. Come with me as we explore South Korea's rich culture, diverse cuisine, viral beauty, deep history, and more through my experience as a selected participant for the Gwangju International Center Diplomacy Team 2024. Gwangju Day 2, Exploring Religion and Community. On day 2, I started my day bright and early with a breakfast at a local nearby cafe waffle shop, and here I am waiting for the rest of my team to gather in the lobby for our day 2 adventures. I boarded the bus with my good friend Siska, and we headed to the city from downtown Gwangju. After a very quick bus ride, we all disembarked and began our short little hike prior to our first tourist attraction site. This is Missionary Wilson's house, the oldest surviving Western-style house located in Gwangju. Missionary Wilson's house sits upon the eastern foothills of Yeongnimsan Mountain in Gwangju. The house was built by an American missionary named Wilson in around the 1920s. The exact date is unknown. This was the home of Wilson and his family while they stayed in Korea. Shown here is a memorial of the martyrdom of Sandul Sonyeongwon. In the 1920s, Christianity grew exponentially in South Korea. Many of these factors could include the March 1st movement, which declared South Korea's independency from Japan, the presence of missionaries, and westernization. Christianity arrived in Korea as early as the 18th century, but according to the most recent survey in 2023, 20% of the population identify as Christians, 15% of those being Protestant, and 5% of those being Catholic. The Constitution of South Korea provides religious freedom and prohibits the discrimination based off religious identity. Later on, we'll also discuss the presence of Buddhism in South Korea. After exploring the Wilson Missionary House, we all gathered together to head to our next destination. If you're someone who enjoys vintage antiquities like myself, I really recommend visiting this next location. After a short walk, we arrived to Yeongnimdong's Penguin Village. The Penguin Village started as an idea to help encourage tourism in Gwangju, South Korea. This idea encouraged the elderly community to be financially self-sufficient and to increase economic gain by having vendor stalls, promoting small businesses, hosting classes, and also expose them to socialization by including Western objects and antiques to show through display murals and works of art. The combination of Western antiques and technology combined with traditional Korean architecture displays the beautiful blending of Western and Korean culture and art mixed together to create this close-knit cultural community. If you haven't guessed by now, the reason why it's called Penguin Village was after the elderly, because most elderly people had some complications and pain with their knees. Unfortunately, this caused them to waddle similar to penguins. As you can see here, Penguin Village is also a location used to host several classes relating to the arts, such as pottery, sewing, botany, and more. The Penguin Village is a perfect opportunity to grab those aesthetic photos. With the ultimate maximalist decoration, everything feels like it has a place and it was intentionally put there for a reason. Every corner you turn is more to see, and it's honestly hard to see everything. It's sort of like a maze, so you have to make sure you see every nook and cranny. After walking through this time capsule of a village, we had the opportunity to participate in one of the village's art classes. We participated in traditional stamp making. These stamps are called dojang. Dojang can be made out of stone or wood. They have been used as early since the 2nd century BC, and they can be still frequently used today. They can be used to sign important or official documents. The end of the dojang is engraved with your name in Hangul, which is stamped into red ink and firmly pressed onto the paper. Here I am engraving my name in Hangul into the end of the dojang. My name is Lauren, but in Korean it reads as Roren because the R and the L share similarities in pronunciation. And here we are doing a few test stamps on this sheet of paper. It takes a few tries, but the key is to really coat the dojang in red ink, firmly press down, and move the dojang from side to side, up and down to make sure it is really on the paper. But it's kind of hard to do it with one hand. And now it is time to waddle away to our next destination. But before, it's time for a lunch break. On the menu was delicious bulgogi jeongul. You may also know it as hot pot. Bulgogi jeongul is consisted of beef, carrots, cabbage, assorted mushrooms, and a delicious broth that is cooked to your liking. Our friend Ifat assisted with the cooking of the bulgogi jeongul. Along with this dish, we were also served a cup of rice and an assortment of pickled vegetables, which were absolutely delicious and perfect for this meal combination. Out of all the meals provided for us, this meal was my favorite. I am a big fan of soups, and even in my Mexican American culture, I love warm, hot soups, so this really resonated with me. After a warm, filling meal, we are back on the bus on to our next destination. As we rode the bus outside of the inner main city, we were able to see the rural and agricultural side of Gwangju as well. My experience in Gwangju occurred around the beginning of October, so the weather was really perfect for outdoor and nature exploration. And we have arrived, but is it really a Gwangju experience if you don't have to hike first? So here we are doing another hike upside the mountain hill. My hiking experience is very limited, so thank goodness there were stairs beautifully placed within these trees. Our next location is located within the Mundungsang mountain. Overlooking the valley below is the Wonhyosa Temple. Wonhyosa Temple is a branch temple of Seonggwangsa, temple of the 21st Diocese of the Chogyal Order of Korean Buddhism. Wonhyosa Temple is home to male practicing Korean Buddhist monks. The diplomacy team participants were honored to sit under the pavilion and listen to one of the monks speak about the history of Wonhyo Temple and to even answer questions about Buddhism and Buddhist monks. Born in 617, Wonhyo was a Korean Buddhist priest, scholar, and philosopher who was a key figure in the Korean Buddhism movement. To further his journey in self-exploration, Wonhyo traveled to China. During this trip, Wonhyo faced many hardships. Rumor has it that he was even imprisoned by the Chinese government at the time. According to his most famous story, Wonhyo had traveled a long way and was very tired and thirsty as night fell. He stumbled upon an empty, dark cave and crawled in for shelter. In the dark, he came across a cup of rainwater and drank from it, quenching his thirst. As the morning light came, Wonhyo discovered that that cup of rainwater was actually a decomposing skull full of old water, and that the cave he stumbled into was in fact a tomb. Wonhyo was horrified until he came to this realization. In the dark, Wonhyo was grateful for the cup and the water, but in the light, he was horrified by the skull and the old still water. Even though he was in great need of water, what determined the water good and bad when he was both thankful and horrified? Perception creates values that are good and bad, but sometimes objects themselves may be neither. From here, Wonhyo wrote over 90 works of philosophy, Buddhism, and self-reflection that would help create the doctrine of Korean Buddhism in the society of his time. Today, his works are just as influential. About 16% of South Koreans identify as Buddhists, according to a 2023 survey. After exploring the temple, we all gathered with the monks and with our fellow colleagues to enjoy a Korean Buddhist-type meal. We ate a vegetarian-friendly meal of bibimbap. It is important to note, though, that not all Buddhists are vegetarian. We all lined up and got to customize our bibimbap with the exact ingredients that we wanted. After a nutritious meal and fellowship, it was time to board the bus and head back to the hotel to prepare for day 3. See you in the next video!